Hello there, everyone. This is Andre, and I'm just talking to you as Andre, even though my moniker is still me. In this sense, I'm not coming from an angle of that particular way of thinking. So, Roe V Wade got overturned, and it's something that I could see as being very horrible for a lot of people. I mean, outside of the exclusively very wealthy, many people are going to be hurt bad by this. And while I do feel for the right to abortion being taken away, even if I don't agree with every situation that it's used in, I do understand that there are some situations where it is either a medical necessity or even something that would be a necessity for people's mental health and potentially the well-being of the potential child or children that would come from it. So it sucks all ways around. But that's not the only thing that got affected. I've said it several times on different posts on social media that, hey, this gets overturned, you lose your personage. You lose your rights to personal information and who gets to see it. So basically, let's just go with this. For example, you have a medical condition that doesn't necessarily affect you, but it's just something that you have. Well, now an employer can, well, not now, but if HIPAA's precedence is overturned, you'll be left in a situation where an employer can look at your medical history and just decide and deem you not someone they want to work with or not have at the company. And they still don't have to tell you why. Like anybody at this point with if that gets overturned would be able to just reach into your medical history and see things about you that really aren't their business. And then there's the overturning of, well, basically you can't sue police officers for violating your Miranda rights. So it's more about control. And now they're looking towards overturning gay marriage, and even if anyone of the same sex could be intimate with them, with someone. Like, I honestly, you shouldn't be diving into what's going on in other people's bedrooms if no one's being hurt. That's not everybody's business. But again, rights to privacy are being taken. And there was even a guy who suggested bringing back a thing which was in the 1950s, which led to the lynchings and murders of a lot of black people. And this guy was a black Republican. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, all Republicans or all conservatives are shitty people, because they're not. But you want to bring back a committee that was responsible for lynchings and murders of people who look like you, without even thinking about the potential consequences of it coming back onto yourself. We are in a time where people are not thinking about the consequences of what they're doing, but following a trail of money to where they can make the most of it. And that is highly dangerous. I worry about what's going to happen. Because the more that cases get overturned, that means more rights will be revoked. I think there's a thing even going now like over a case of being able to be in interracial relationships. I was like, everything that boils down to you having any sort of personal choice or freedom for yourself, for your life, for what's necessary for you, is being taken away. And I know I'm not the biggest person on social media, but I do hope that more people get to hear this and understand that, hey, your life is being taken from you and you're not going to be left with much choice or option, because people want to fight and argue over the smaller details of something because of their own personal interests, not realizing that the more you fight for just your personal interest and not the interest of the majority of the whole group, you are going to make it more and more easy for anything that was a right of yours to be taken away. And it's also going to be easier for you to be wiped off the face of the map with not a word said about it. And no one will know. And that is very concerning, that's very worrying, that's scary because of how dangerous it is. And all because there are a few people in power that have the money to make those decisions. And they're making those decisions because of their own personal desires and wants. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, we're not going to play around with it. That's what it boils down to. There's a few people in the upper crust of the upper crust, making these decisions. And at this point, it should be highly apparent to everyone. And the even worse thing is that all this information is just sitting out for people to find if they really want to look it up. Like the birth dearth. Look that up. That's a book that's written that kind of lays out what's happening now with the whole abortion thing. And then I would say read like the book, The National Sunday Law. I read that in high school. It's an interesting read. There are others, but I don't know the names of all of them. But those are the two that I can think of off the top of my head that I think would be worth looking into. While everybody's busy squabbling and arguing with each other because they use one thing as the poster child to move and do other things, just remember that the more you focus on arguing with your fellow man, your neighbor, your close friend over smaller issues, the bigger ones are being hidden behind your back, away from where you can see, and is being decided upon before you have any chance to react to it. And that is the case right now. And again, there are a multitude of books with this information that's sitting out and open and available for people to get, and others are banned for having this information in it and potentially becoming popularized. But it's worth taking the time to look into it, because if all this keeps going on, people's lives are going to be horrible. And we'll go from potentially having freedoms to living under totalitarianism. So, yeah, there's a lot to think about. I don't mind people saying what they want to say. But I also don't want people to be able to just take away my ability to do something, or anyone's ability to do something that might be a necessity for them. It would be one thing to say, hey, I don't agree with you. It's another thing to say, because I don't agree with you, you don't deserve to be able to do what you need to do or live how you want to live. But I don't want to drag this on too much more. This is a somber thing as it is. So I'm out.